How's it going, fellow Raid Shadow Legends players? So today I wanted to talk about a strategy that you can actually use for one of the ongoing events for a limited time fusion that we have going on right now. I'm not going to talk too much about the actual news and the details. You can take a look at this stuff in-game. If you go to the news tab, you'll see it right here, limited time fusion event. You can see all the details there. And you'll notice that if you do go to the fusion tab, you will see that we do have a limited time fusion. Now we're going to get a whole bunch of these champions that we need for this fusion with a bunch of the different upcoming events and tournaments that are going on. And some of them look like they're going to be pretty challenging, especially if you're free to play. They're going to be very time consuming. It's not going to be easy, of course. Getting a legendary from a fusion never is. But there is a event, or I guess it's actually technically a tournament, that is going on, and there is a strategy that I wanted to show you guys that will make this quite a bit easier than it might normally be. So what we're going to be looking at is we're going to go to the tournament section, and we're going to be looking at this 2-week champion training tournament, this one right here. Now, the champion training tournament is not the same as the champion training event that we normally have. We've had that a whole bunch. It's one of the more common, one of the more frequently run events, but this tournament version is a little bit different. It's mostly similar, but it is still a little bit different. So you are going to end up getting points, and as you can see, there is a leaderboard. However, the leaderboard prizes are not really that important for the fusion. Obviously, Legendary Tome is nice, but it's this 10,000 point reward that you're going to need to get if you want to actually do the limited time fusion. Now, unlike the regular champion training events, the tournament is different in that you don't actually end up getting points by leveling up your champions normally. You're only going to end up getting points by leveling if you decide to end up leveling them in the tavern. So if you end up using brews or sacrificing other champions as fodder to actually use as experience, which I don't normally end up doing, except for very, very rarely I'll do that with 1-star champions because it really does seem to be quite a waste. You are going to get points. So mostly this is going to end up being from using brews on champions. Now you will still get points by ranking up your champions just like you normally do in the champion training events. This is really important, and this is probably how you're going to end up getting most of your points from this event. And there is a third section as well. You can end up getting some points from ascending champions as well. I wouldn't really focus on this section. The other two are definitely going to be a lot easier and less resource intensive than farming potions to ascend. I would say if you have champions that you're looking to ascend anyway, that's totally fine. You might as well end up getting the points from it, but it's not really very point efficient to go out there and farm potions just to ascend for points. If you have a whole bunch of spare lesser potions, you can end up doing some of the lower tier ones, but once you start getting into epics and legendaries, you're going to need greater and superior potions just for a few extra points. When you do the math behind it, really doesn't add up that much. I would say just do this for the champions that you want to ascend anyway, and if you have a whole bunch of extra lesser potions and lesser arcane potions, you can do some of the uncommons at the lower ranks if you really, really want to. Let's go back up here because this is really what we are going to focus on. So you are going to get points from ranking up champions, and you can also end up getting points by using brews. Now, we're probably pretty familiar that the earlier levels are going to take less experience, and because brews end up giving the same amount of experience, you're going to end up getting more level ups, and that means you're going to end up getting more points by using brews on champions that are closer to level 1. So this is pretty common knowledge for just any kind of leveling up tactics for any of these events, but there is a strategy that you can use. Now, in order to see how many extra points you're going to end up getting by using brews, we first have to see how many points and what champions we're going to need if we decide to 6-star a champion. So if we are going to 6-star a champion, we are obviously going to be 6-starring. We're just going to use, for example, if we already have a champion at level 50 already at 5 stars and you want to turn it into a 6-star. So if you don't have a champion that's already level 50 and at 5 stars, you'll get a little bit more, a few extra points than what I'm using in this example, but this is pretty typical for most people who are looking to 6-star. They're looking to 6-star level 50 5-star that they already have. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually upgrade our 5-star into our 6-star. That's going to give us 400 points. Then we are going to need 5 5-star champions. Each one of those is going to give 100 points, so we're going to get 500 points from that. We're going to need 25 4-star champions, which is going to give us a total of 1,250 points, 50 for each one of those. 100 3-stars, which is going to end up giving us 1,500 points. You end up getting 15 for each of those. And the last one depends on whether you want to level up 1-stars and turn them into 2-stars, or if you don't do that, if you just end up using the 2-stars, and that's kind of where you start off your champion training. You're leveling up your fodder. This is going to depend. Different people do different things. I mix it up. Sometimes I'll level up 1-stars. Sometimes I will just feed them because I have too many mystery shards. So 0 to 300 of those, depending on how many 1-stars you actually plan on leveling up and ranking up into 2-stars. That'll give you anywhere from 0 to an extra 1,500 points. So if we want to turn our 5-star into a 6-star, that is going to give us a total of anywhere between 3,650 points to 5,150 points for this champion training tournament. So normally you might be looking at having to do this between 2 and 3 times. Twice if you pretty much level up every single 1-star to a 2-star to barely be able to make the 10,000 points by leveling up to 6-stars, and 3 if you decide not to end up leveling up any 1-stars and decide to only use 2-stars and above for your fodder. Now, what you can actually do is you can end up using one single brew on a bunch of your fodders before you've leveled it up at all through the campaign. And that is actually going to give you a whole bunch of extra points, and it actually adds up to be quite a bit. Now, the thing is, if you end up going back, you see that the amount of points that you end up getting is actually going to be different depending on what star it is. And generally speaking, all of the levels are roughly the same amount of experience towards the start to level up. It's a little bit different. It actually, as you go to the higher stars, you need a little bit more experience at the earlier levels, but you also need a little bit less. It's a little bit strange. Roughly speaking, though, you're going to end up getting roughly the same amount of levels for each of the stars, and you only end up getting more points as you are leveling up a higher star champion. So if you actually take a look at the numbers, so if we decide to use one brew on each of the whatever star champions, if we use a brew on a 1-star champion, we're going to end up getting 8 levels. So it's going to take it from level 1 to level 9. If you've used brews, you probably know that it's pretty frustrating because you're very close to getting it to the max level, which is 10 for a 1-star, but unfortunately you don't quite get it. So you get to 8 total levels at 1 point per level. That's going to give you a total of 8 points. 2 stars. These are also only going to end up giving you 1 point, but you do end up getting 1 extra level. So you'll take it from a 2-star from level 1 to level 10, which is 9 levels, with just a single brew of the same champion affinity, of course. That's very important. 3 stars. This is where it starts to get a bit better. So 3 stars is when you start getting 2 points per level. And again, because a 3-star takes roughly the same amount of experience to level up at the earlier levels, you're still going to end up getting 9 levels if you use a single brew on a 3-star. But because you're getting 2 points each, now you're going to get 18 points total. So that's a big difference from 8 to 9 points, 18 points. And again, you're just using a single brew still. 4 stars, you're going to end up getting 1 less level, but you end up getting 1 more point. So now you're getting 3 points per level, 1 less level, 8 levels total. That's going to give you 24 points. 5 stars also going to give you 8 levels, and 5 stars actually jump all the way up to 6 points, but you're probably not really going to be doing too much leveling of 5 stars and 6 stars at this point, so this is not really going to be a huge amount of the points that you end up getting, but that's going to be 48 extra points, and then of course just using a single brew on your finished 6 star right when it's level 1, that's going to give you 7 levels. At 8 points per level, that's going to be an extra 56 points. So if you just use a single brew on champions, this is how many points you're going to end up getting. And as you can see, the optimal point to start using a single brew on champions is going to end up being at 3 stars. I wouldn't really bother for 1 and 2 stars specifically for this event. That jump from 8 to 9 points all the way up to 18 points is pretty significant, and you are still going to need to level up a whole bunch of 3 stars in order to finish up all the fodder for your 6 star. So if we take all these numbers and we end up combining them, if we just use a single brew on everything at its starting level for our 6 star, of course 56 extra points, but you can only do that once. That's just our finished 6 star product right there. If we use a single brew on each of the 5 stars, before you've leveled it up at all right at the start, that's going to give a total of 240 extra points. If we use a single brew on all the 4 stars at level 1, that's going to give you an extra 600 points. And if you use a single brew on every single 3 star right at the start, that's going to end up giving you a total of 1,800 extra points. Not only that, but you're going to save a little bit of energy as well, because that's less experience that you're going to need to get by actually getting all these fodder units to max level. But of course, the important thing is all those extra points that you end up getting from using brews. You won't get points by leveling up normally, so this is just extra points that you can get on the road to a 6 star. So all in all, if you use a single brew on every single one of these champions, that's going to take a total of 131 brews. Of course, the brew has to be the same affinity as the champion that you're leveling up as well. So as you are leveling up fodder, I always do this anyway, but try to level up fodder relative to the amount of brews that you have if you plan on using them. So if you don't really have that many blue or green brews, but you have a whole bunch of red brews, or that's the one that you have a bunch of extra, I would end up leveling up more red fodder if I plan on using brews, because it just seems to make the most sense. But you're going to need 131 total brews of the same affinity for the champions that you're leveling up. That's going to give you a total of 2,696 extra points on top of the 3,650 to 5,150 points. Again, the difference there is depending on if you end up leveling up your 1 stars or if you kind of skip that step and you just move straight to leveling up 2 stars. That's where the extra 1,500 points comes in. But all in all, that jumps the amount of points that you end up getting from 6 starring all the way up to between 6,346 to 7,846. So even if you just 6 star a single champion, you'll already be almost all the way up to the 10,000 points that you need for that champion for the fusion. So that's a big difference, and if you have the brews, this is definitely the way to go. So I thought I would share this strategy as well as the math behind it. So this event just started today. Hopefully you guys haven't really gotten too far along into it, so hopefully you are able to use the strategy to get those extra points and make this event a bit easier. So that is actually it. That's all the information presented to you. Obviously, there's more events. There's a lot going on here. If you guys enjoyed this video, I might end up releasing a little bit more, I guess, detailed information and guides for some of the other events that are going on for this fusion. So if you guys did enjoy this and it helped out, consider leaving a like on the video and subscribing for more in the future. If you have any questions, comments, or anything you want to say, feel free to let me know. I do my best to read and respond to as much as I can. And with that all being said, thank you for watching. And until next time, this is Salt of the Salty Guild signing out.